now listening to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the 15-minute show, part of the Arsenal Therapy Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam Keys, and today we are going to be talking about how Kai Havertz has become one of the most complete strikers in the Premier League and the man that Arsenal have been searching all season for. He now has 8 goals and 5 assists in his last 11 games, something that Chelsea fans never saw and why they're so angry. So look, if you're celebrating the North London Derby win, if you're impressed with Kai's performance, please give this video a like and continue to help us grow this channel. So without further ado, let's dive into Kai's performance and have a look at what made us really fall in love with everything he did yesterday. But first up, let's have a look at his tweet that has wound up Chelsea fans, Spurs fans, and loads of others along the way. He's put the mood out. He's speaking on behalf of all Arsenal fans in this moment. Many Chelsea fans have commented saying it's cringy. Spurs fans have complained. People are saying this is mentality. You only celebrate titles. Look, I'm sorry, but football is about the grassroots. It's about connecting people. It's about the journey. You celebrate wins. You celebrate goals. And people hugging each other in the stands that they've never met before. This is what football's about. If you're simply waiting to celebrate titles, you're going to be waiting a long time. Football's about much more than that. It's about the micro nuances of the game, all the fascinating things that keep us obsessed. If we were only obsessed with silverware, none of us would pay any attention. It's the journey that keeps people entertained, not the destination. But what's really interesting is Kai now has 11 non-penalty goals this season. So that takes him level with Cole Palmer, the golden boy, the one Chelsea are raving about, the one that is only actually a couple of years younger than Kai and is getting all the service at Chelsea. Everything's going through him and everything is set up for him to score goals. At Arsenal, Kai is just one of many attacking players that are contributing goals. But look, Kai is showing that he is a player that's built for the run and he has the mentality. This is a guy that was broken whenever he arrived from Chelsea. His confidence was down. He was playing with his head down. His passes were being underhit. There was safety in every action he was doing. Fast forward that now, and we're seeing a player that's brave, is playing with his head up, is playing with the aggression that all top centre forwards do. But most importantly, what separates Kai from many of the top centre forwards out there is his intelligence, the positions he takes up, his ability to move defenders into areas they don't want to go. And he's now scoring the goals and getting level with the likes of Palmer, who is in contention for the Player of the Season award. When you look at this is even more impressive. Look at these ratings. Look at how highly Kai Havertz is consistently being rated. So, look, this isn't us making these. These are algorithms that make these ratings based off player performances, the data that they collect. Kai is consistently hitting over 7 every game. He's contributing massively to the team. And look, you don't get these just because someone likes you. These are all collected through data, and they're much more accurate than the Sun giving you a rating after the game based on who their favorite player is. But look, this is just an example of what Kai is really doing and contributing to the team. Onto his actions in the game. The first thing with Kai, he won 8 of 10 aerial duels yesterday. Bear in mind, he's playing against Van de Ven and Romero, 2 big centre-backs, 2 strong centre-backs, 2 that are very good in the air. And what's interesting about these images is look at the difference in the positions that he's in. First one, right down near their box, he's got a player taking them away from where he wants to be, out of the comfort zone, right over to the left half space for Spurs, and that ball is in the air. Kai is competing for it. And look, I'm not actually as bothered about whether players win the aerial duels or not. What I look at is, do they compete? Do they genuinely compete, as in compete to win it, not just throw yourself into the air and be a presence, but do you compete to make the defender have to win it? And do you win the second ball? Because if you do, you create space. And if you look at this middle graphic here, Kai's got the ball on the halfway line, 2 Spurs players around him, and you can see the run of Odegaard. He's coming into that space and Saka's going at the other side. Again, this is creating space by bringing players away. Third one, Kai's come a whole way across the pitch. He flicks this ball on, it hits the Spurs defender. Saka ends up winning and Arsenal go forward with the ball. These are examples of things that we didn't have last season. Jesus is probably a better player at bringing the ball down and controlling it from long balls. But what Jesus doesn't give you is the ability to drag defenders the whole way across the pitch, drag them out of the position they want to be in, create space for others, and then turn and get back into the position that you want them to be in. So for Arsenal, having that centre forward presence allows Saka, it allows Trossard, Odegaard to get in behind and really create, because that ball is coming long. Kai's flicking it on. Kai's maybe not flicking it on, at which point the defender has to win it, give it back, and it's fallen into a pocket for us to then allow our players to drive into the box and create more overloads. But this was just an example. You can see these. The first one was 47 seconds into the game. That laid down a marker for Van de Ven. This is what I'm up against. I'm going to have to compete physically. If I want to beat Kai Havertz today, I'm going to have to be on it physically as well as mentally and technically. But again, we saw the physical side of his game, the aerial presence. One of the things that he was signed for at Arsenal was his ability to make runs into the box. Whether you think Kai was signed as a striker or a midfielder, I don't think it really matters, because one of the things Arteta said in August was his focus was making Arsenal more unpredictable to play against, making us more difficult to set up against. And Kai was one of the reasons that he felt Arsenal could become that team, because he is a player. He is very difficult to pick up. He's incredibly intelligent, but he's also incredibly disciplined. So with some, you would think they're making these runs into the box. If they're playing in midfield, for example, that can be an issue. Kai doesn't kind of forego his defensive responsibilities when he makes these runs. If they come off, great. If they don't come off, he's spinning on his heels straight back, working hard to get back. And on this occasion, this is when you look, beautiful ball over the top from Thomas Partey. You can see from the first graphic just how marginally Martin Odegaard is offside. It's even closer whenever you look at it from the minute the ball left Thomas Partey's foot. This is a really, really tight offside call. Look at Kai. You can see him in the first graphic. You can see he's starting to run. Then you can see the timing of his run. He's not fully sprinting yet because he's reading where Odegaard's going to go. If he sprints, those defenders close Odegaard down. Then he starts to speed up. He really gets going. Odegaard takes a touch, takes it wide. Kai sees the space, darts into the box, shoots, scores. It's ruled offside. But there's been a lot made of the Spurs offside. There isn't a lot in these two. This one is marginal. It's much closer. And what was so strange about this is the linesman had his flag up straight away. We rarely ever see that in the game nowadays. Typically, this would have gone in. Arsenal would have scored, it would have gone to VAR, and it would have been decided that way, but it didn't. So it was ruled out straight away, and it wasn't really discussed. But this is a really, really tight offside call, and it showed just how dangerous Havertz is with these runs into the box. Then the next one, look, this is very, very different. Other end of the park, Arsenal get the ball. This is right after Romero's hit the post crossbar with his header. Per marking from Arsenal, he gets away from Thomas Partey. Ball comes back in. It's Kai Havertz in the box. 6'4", big presence in there. Gets a good header out. Arsenal push out and start to close. Havertz out wide, closing down his man. You can see where he's going. You can see him pointing. He's telling his teammates where they need to go. And then in the third graphic, you can see he's won the ball back. So Saka initially wins it. Havertz picks it up, hoofs it off his man, out for a throw, and then pushes James Maddison in the back and says, people actually thought you were a better signing than me. Calm down, mate. Get out of my way. And this showed, again, Havertz's mentality. He's built for these big occasions. This was a timid boy when he arrived in August or in June for Arsenal. He's now a man. He's a competitor that's out there ready to fight for the shirt. He looks like he's fully bought into the project. And if you look at his celebration against Chelsea, it showed he doesn't have a regret in the world about leaving them to join us. This is a guy that fully believes in everything Arteta is telling him. And again, I mentioned earlier about him playing with his head up. Earlier in the season, when Havertz got the ball, he was playing with his head down. He was looking for a safe pass. He was doing very good work off the ball, and they were the areas we were highlighting. His positional play, his ability to break up play. We're now looking at his work on the ball, on top of all those things. And this This episode isn't going to focus on his work off the ball as much because we don't need to. We've done numerous shows on those things and praised them and highlighted them and showed just how important it is. This is his growth as a player on the ball, and this one showed it more than anything. He gets the ball. Whenever it's coming to him, Saka's still making his way up the pitch. What he does really well is he takes his time. He doesn't get it out and push it forward and look for a quick pass. He slows everything down. He's super relaxed. At this moment, Kai Havertz is the calmest man in the stadium. Mikel Arteta's blood pressure is probably going through the roof. We've just been under huge pressure from Spurs. They've just had a goal ruled out by VAR. Everything was chaos at this moment. Kai Havertz, cool as a cucumber, gets the ball, pings it forward, inch perfect, and the touch from Bukayo Saka was worthy of the pass. It was just sublime, absolute, exquisite, silk-like touch, and we all know the end result. Saka takes it into the box and scores, but Saka's run isn't as effective if that ball's not perfect, and you couldn't have asked for a better ball from Kai. He's not a player that we associate with long passes. He's a player that we associate with relatively safe passes and generally short. In recent weeks, we've seen him from both feet, fizzing balls across the surface, running with the ball and releasing it on the go. Earlier in the season, we were seeing him take that touch, turn back and play a safe pass. Not anymore. This is Kai Havertz of Leverkusen. This is a player that's now developed, now confident, that is now ready to show what he can do on a technical level. And this is where the Berbatov, Van Persie, Bergkamp comparisons came from. And they came from the mouth of Thomas Tuchel, one of the best football analysts, coaches, and tacticians out there. This is a guy that falls out with people for fun, doesn't mince his words, and isn't going to give anyone praise if they don't deserve it. And he loved Kai Havertz. He tried to sign him for Bayern in the summer before he came to Arsenal. Real Madrid tried to sign him in the summer. There's a reason why all these top clubs were after Kai. And then when you look at the goal itself, this is what I loved. Look at Kai's position in the top graphic. He's inside the six, pretty much at the byline, right at the back post, about 2-3 yards away from the back post. He's being watched by Kulusevski at this point. Kai moves forward. First, he hits the edge of the six, and then it's almost like a V position. He runs out, then he runs in, and Spurs fans are complaining he puts his hands on the back of Van de Ven. Van de Ven doesn't appeal this. If you see Van de Ven's reaction, I urge you to go and look it up. He shakes his head, and he knows he's been beaten far too easily. But Ben White on Vicario, all he does, backs in, puts his backside into him. Vicario, limp, lame, pathetic. Everything that you don't want in your goalkeeper. And Arsenal targeted that yesterday. And Kai's header was an example of that. Brilliant. It was, he hits the area perfectly. He gets a clean connection on it, good, honest contact, and he beats Spurs as a result. And this is a thing that we haven't seen enough from him this season, is his threat from corners. We've seen it from Gabriel and Saliba. Add a few goals in from corners with Kai next season. We're talking about a player with huge goal-scoring potential. We are only scratching at the surface of this guy's potential, and that is not me exaggerating. And then as the game went on, Kai was working very, very hard, as he has done. He's played a lot of minutes recently, and I love this. This is one. Spurs going forward with Brennan Johnson. Tomiyasu wins the tackle. Kai comes back to make sure he's covering, as he's been doing the whole game, playing that essentially false nine position where he's got through yards and yards of defensive work and also a lot of forward sprints going the other way. He just worked his socks off, but he was always available to receive. He wasn't just a player that was dominating space, but a player that was also on his heels quickly to get Arsenal away. And on this occasion, he does that really well. He drives the ball. And when I talked about him taking that touch, taking a bit of time to see where things are around him, on this instance, he took a bit of time, realized there was no one up with him, and he bought Arsenal a throw on the halfway line and let us regroup at a time that we needed it. And then as the game went on, I talk about these sprints that he was making, going the other way, running into the opposition box. Martinelli on this occasion races forward, and last season we see Martinelli take his man on here. He gets into an attacking position, and this is where Martinelli's confidence is really, really struggling right now. He gets there. He's got the beating of him. If he keeps going straight, there's a good chance he gets into the box and the defender has to foul him. 3-1 up at this time. Martinelli elects to cut inside. He ends up playing a poor pass that runs behind Kai. But if you look again, the ground Kai's covering, look how quickly he gets himself into the box. He's there. He's in line with Martinelli. What Martinelli really needs to do, Kai checks his run and he's trying to hit that post, dink it over the top. He's in a position to head it in. A year ago, I think we saw that from Martinelli. Or in the first graphic, I don't think he cuts it inside. He runs at his man. If the space isn't there to keep going through the goal, he goes to the byline and cuts it back. Instead, this time, he's elected to turn into danger. If you look at this, the point when he turns, there's 3 players between him and Kai. And the 4th defender is starting to close the gap more on Kai as well. So Martinelli really reduces the likelihood of us scoring in this position. But these were examples of what Kai was really able to offer. And I think we saw his work rate and just how hard and how high his performance level was and how much energy he had drained, not only yesterday, but over the last couple of weeks, when right at the end, he had a sprint race, foot race with Van de Ven, and he looked done. Van de Ven beat him, and Kai just looked completely exhausted. But he got himself back and he defended. He worked the line. He worked as part of that unit. We got into almost 6 at the back at times, kind of a 6, probably a 6-2-2 or a 6-3-1 at times towards the end of the game, where we really had to see it out. There were tired legs. We didn't have the threat in the counter. And Kai was one of those that was really in the thick of it and really digging deep to win. But just to finish off, I thought it would be a shame, a crying shame for me not to share this with you, a Chelsea fan who goes by the name of Cole Palmer. I thought this was absolutely brilliant. Tweeting yesterday at the end of the game, Arsenal robbed us on the Kai Havertz deal. They should pay us 40 million to make it 100 million. They robbed Chelsea and Kai Havertz, robbed Brighton and Trossard, and also robbed West Ham on Declan Rice. It's unacceptable. A crying change from what we saw from Chelsea fans all season. This is a player with immense potential and someone that we are only scratching at the surface of. There is so much more to go with Kai Havertz. And at this point, Chelsea fans are starting to see it, and they are really regretting the player that they sold. But look, if you've liked this video, please drop a like. Please give us a comment. We want to hear from you what you think of the video, what you think of Kai Havertz at the minute. Do you think he's the right answer for us up front as a 9 next season? Do you think he will give us what we need? What do you think we need? Tell us in the comments. But thank you to everyone that's joined us, and we look forward to having you again very soon. Have a good day. Thank you.